Hello everyone, good to see you again. So today I feel like I need to have a name for this, like reading with Mrs. Mendocino, but something that rolls off the tongue better. So if you have any ideas, let me know. But today we are still going through Romeo and Juliet. We are on page 103 for Act 3, Scene 2. So if you guys remember Scene 1, there was a lot that went on. We had one of our main characters die, Mercutio. He was taken out by Tybalt, who was actually trying to take out Romeo. So a lot of drama there. And if you guys remember, the prince had sentenced Romeo to be exiled from Verona. So we're going to see the aftermath of that and how Romeo and Juliet all respond to that. Sorry, I should have drinking my tea before this. I am silently correcting your grammar. Even when we're not working on grammar, you guys. Just finished looking at some essays. They were like, oh my god. Okay, this is real life, you guys. I still choke on my tea. Still silently correcting your grammar. So I hope you guys, if you leave any comments, you're making sure to use proper grammar, because still an English teacher reading it. All right, so Act 3, Scene 2. If I can get through this. We are in Juliet's room. She's in the Capulet mansion, of course. And enter Juliet alone. Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, toward Phoebus's lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would whip you to the west, and bring in cloudy night immediately. So here we have some great allusions. She's alluding to Phoebus, which is the sun god, and his son Phaeton. She wants them to pull the sun away, that way nightfall comes. Because if you guys remember, she just got married to Romeo. She does not know about Tybalt or Mercutio's best yet, so she's in a good mood. She just wants to have her husband come see her. Spread thy closed curtain, love performing night. Leap to these arms, untalked of and oops, I skipped a line. That runaway's eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms, untalked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites by their own beauties, or, if love be blind, it best agrees with night. So she's saying, become nightfall, that way my husband Romeo can come to me in secret. Because once it comes night, no one can see him sneaking in. Come, civil knight, personification, thou sober-suited matron all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match, played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Hood my unmanned blood, bating in my cheeks, with thy black mantle, till strange love grow bold. Think true love acted simple modesty. Come, night, come, Romeo, come, thou day and night. Right there, she's using a great metaphor. She's referring to Romeo as her daylight during the nighttime. Kind of reminds you of when Romeo referred to Juliet as the sun. For thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow upon a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving black-browed night. Give me my Romeo, and when I shall die, take him and cut him out into little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Now that line sounds a little weird, where she says, cut him out into little stars. She wants to turn Romeo into a constellation. That way everyone can observe his beauty, his grace at nighttime, because he'll be up in the night sky. Again, reminds us of when Romeo referred to Juliet's eyes as more beautiful than the stars in the heavens. Oh, I have bought the mansion of a love, but not possessed it. So another good metaphor here, that she's become married to someone, but she hasn't gotten the fruits of that marriage just yet. And though I am sold, not yet enjoy. So even though Romeo now owns me, I have not had the chance to enjoy my husband. So tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival, to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. Oh, here comes my nurse. Enter nurse with the rope ladder that Romeo's going to use to climb up into her bedroom in her lap. And she brings news, and every tongue that speaks but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquence. Now, nurse, what news? What hast thou there, the cords that Romeo bid thee fetch? Aye, the cords, and she throws them down. The nurse knows what happened. Ay me, what news? What dost thou why dost thou wring thy hands? Ah, wordays, he's dead, he's dead. We are undone, lady, we are undone. Alack the day, he's gone, he's killed, he's dead. Now, we know who she's talking about. She's talking about Tybalt here. But does Juliet know that yet? No. She probably thinks that she's talking about Romeo, because who else would the nurse be talking about this time? Sorry, the sun hits me really weird right here at this time of day. Okay, I'll try and stay here. Can heaven be so envious? So she's thinking it's Romeo. She's saying, can heaven be that jealous of me that they would take Romeo away from me? Romeo can, though heaven cannot. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, whoever would have thought it, Romeo. What devil art thou that dost torment me thus? This torture should be roared in dismal hell. Hath Romeo slain himself? Say thou but I, and that bare vile eye shall poison more than the death-darting eye of a cockatrice. So we got a little pun there. She's using the word I in two different ways. It's a homophone, meaning that it's spelled differently, but it sounds the same. She's still continuing to use it here too. I am not I, if there be such an I, or if those eyes shut, that makes the answer I. If he be slain, say I, or if not, no. Brief sounds determine my weal or woe. Being like, just tell me, was it Romeo? Just you need to tell me yes or no. It's a brief sound. I saw the wound, I saw it with mine eyes, God save the mark. Here on his manly breast, a piteous corse, a bloody piteous corse, pale, pale as ashes, all bedaubed in blood, all in gore blood. I sounded at the sight, so she cried when she saw the person that was wounded. Again, she still hasn't confirmed if it was Romeo or not. Poor Juliet. Oh, break my heart, poor bankrupt. Well, I lost my place. Break at once, my heart is breaking. To prison eyes never look on liberty. Vile earth to earth resign, end motion here, and thou and Romeo press one heavy bier. Saying, I'll lie in this earth with Romeo, please kill me. She's feeling that sad right now. Finally, the nurse. Oh, Tybalt, Tybalt, the best friend I had. Oh, courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman, that ever I should live to see thee dead. All right, time out. She calls Tybalt courteous. I don't know what Tybalt she was talking about, because that's not the Tybalt that we've seen. All right, time in. What storm is that blows so contrary? Is Romeo slaughtered, and is Tybalt dead? My dearest cousin and my dearer lord? Then, dreadful trumpet, sound the general doom, for who is living if those two are gone? So now Juliet is in even more woe. She thinks that both her cousin and her husband are dead. The nurse needs to be really clear. Tybalt is gone and Romeo is banished. Romeo that killed him, he is banished. Oh God, did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood? It did, alas the day it did. All right, so now Juliet's feeling very conflicted. So take a look at these oxymorons that she's using to describe Romeo. Oh serpent heart, hid with the flowering face, did ever dragon keep so fair a cave? Beautiful tyrant, fiend angelical, dove-feathered raven, wolvish ravening lamb, despised substance of divinest show, just opposite to what thou justly seem, a damned saint, an honorable villain. So here, she is so happy, I guess you could say, that Romeo is still alive, but she's so sad that Romeo's the one that had to kill her cousin that she loves so much. So she calls him a serpent heart with a flowering face, so it's like he's evil on the inside, but he looks good on the outside. She's saying if a dragon keeps so fair a cave, meaning like a dragon's like an evil mythical creature, but they keep a nice cave, so it's kind of an oxymoron too. She calls him a beautiful tyrant, a fiend angelical, both oxymorons, a dove-feathered raven, and a wolvish ravening lamb. And then finally, a damned saint and an honorable villain. O nature, what hast thou to do in hell, when thou didst bower the spirit of a fiend in mortal paradise of such sweet flesh? Was ever book containing such vile matter so freely bound? Oh, that deceit shouldst dwell in such a gorgeous place. So my question for you guys is, how would you feel if you were in Juliet's place? Would you be really mad at Romeo, or would you be kind of happy that Romeo is still alive, even though your cousin's dead? Or is she right to feel conflicted? She doesn't know how to feel. There's no trust, no faith, no honesty in men, all perjured, all forsworn, all naught, all disassemblers. Ah, where's my man? Give me some aqua vitae. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo. And then Juliet kind of snaps out of it. She's, blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. Pretty much like, don't say something like that about Romeo. So she's coming to her husband's defenses now. He was not born to shame. Upon his brow, shame is a shame to sit. That's a great metaphor right there. Also some personification. For 'tis a throne where honor may be crowned, sole monarch of the universal earth. Oh, what a beast was I to chide at him. And here she's kind of feeling a little shame that she was speaking poorly of Romeo. She says, I can't believe I was angry with him. Which, girl, it's okay if you're angry at your husband for killing your cousin. I think that's understandable. Will you speak well of him that killed your cousin? Thank you, nurse. Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Ah, poor my lord, what tongue shall smooth thy name when I, thy 3 hours wife, have mangled it? But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. So now we've switched. Now she's talking poorly about Tybalt for going after Romeo. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe, which you mistaking offer up to joy. My husband lives that Tybalt would have slain, and Tybalt's dead that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort, wherefore weep I then? Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death that murdered me. I would forget it fain, but oh, it presses to my memory. Like damned guilty deeds to sinners' minds, Tybalt is dead and Romeo banished. So here she's finding some comfort that at least her husband is alive. That's why she's saying, all this is comfort, wherefore weep I then. Like, if that's the good news, why should I be crying here? And then that last line where she says that banished, that one word banished, had slain 10,000 Tybalts. Essentially what she's saying here is that a banished Romeo is worse than a dead Tybalt. So like think of like math where you have like the greater than or less than. Romeo being exiled is much worse to her than her cousin Tybalt being killed. Priorities? I don't know. Tybalt's death was woe enough if it had ended there, or if sour woe delights in fellowship and needly be ranked with other griefs, why followed not when she said, Tybalt's dead, thy father or thy mother, nay, or both, which modern lamentation might have moved. All right, we got to look at that. She's saying, where is it? When she said Tybalt's dead, so when the nurse gave news of Tybalt's death, she's saying, why couldn't she have said that my mom or my dad had died instead of telling me that my husband was exiled? So she's saying, even if my parents had died, it still wouldn't be as bad as my husband having to leave Verona. But with a rear ward following Tybalt's death, Romeo is banished. To speak that word is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished. There is no end, no limit, measure bound in that word's death. No words then can that woe sound. Where is my father and my mother, nurse? Weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corpse. Will you go to them? I'll bring you thither. Wash they his wounds with tears? Mine shall be spent when theirs are dry for Romeo's banishment, saying, I'm only going to cry because my husband's been banished. Take up those cords, poor robes, you're beguiled, both you and I, for Romeo's exiled. He had made you for a highway to my bed, but I, a maid, die maiden widowed. Come, cords, come, nurse, out to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, take my maidenhead. Okay, so now she's kind of shifted her focus away from Tybalt onto what was supposed to happen that night between her and Romeo. They were supposed to consummate the marriage. And so now she's talking to the cords, the rope ladder that Romeo was going to climb into her bedroom, saying, take these away from me. There's no more use since Romeo's banished. He can no longer come. And then those last two lines, all to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, take my maidenhead. So death will take my virginity since Romeo can't come do that anymore. Hie to your chamber. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. Out to him, he is hid at Lawrence's cell. Oh, find him, give this ring to my true knight, and bid him come to take his last farewell. So they're saying, it's okay, we'll make it happen. Romeo's gonna come, I'll go get him. And Juliet's kind of a little happy now. She's saying, okay, great. We'll do this, and it'll be his last farewell before he heads out to wherever he's gonna be heading out to. It's called Mantua. We'll find that out in the next scene. All right, so that is the end of scene 2. Juliet is a lot more upset over the fact that her husband has been exiled. So that's kind of up to you guys. I'm going to be posting a question in the comment section on Edmodo asking you guys if you think she is justified in feeling that way. All right, the sun is really bothering me. That's not much better. All right, I'll just have to sit back like this. All right, so we are in Act 3, Scene 3. Now we are switching settings. We are in Friar Lawrence's cell. And this is kind of where Romeo's been hiding now. So enter Friar Lawrence. Romeo, come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity. So we got two great uses of personification here. With affliction is enamored of thy parts. So like affliction meaning like bad things are envious of you. And you are wedded to calamity. You are like married to the idea of trouble. Trouble seems to follow you wherever you go. Now enter Romeo, and just imagine the grief that he is feeling right now. Father, what news? What is the prince's doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand that I yet know not? So like, what is the prince's sentence for me? What's gonna happen? Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom. What less than doomsday is the prince's doom? A gentler judgment vanished from his lips. Not body's death, but body's banishment. Ha! Banishment? Be merciful, say death, for exile hath more terror in his look. Much more than death. Do not say banishment. Romeo's kind of feeling the same thing that Juliet's feeling about the idea of being exiled. He's saying that exile is worse than death. And he's going to explain a little bit why he feels that way. Just be patient. Here from Verona art thou banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide. Friar's got a point. You just can't come to the city anymore, but you've got the whole world out there in front of you that you can explore. There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence, banished is banished from the world, and world's exile is death. Then banished is death mistermed. Calling death banished, thou cutt'st my head off with the golden axe, and smilest upon the stroke that murders me. Romeo's saying, like, I might as well be dead. Oh, deadly sin, oh, rude unthankfulness. Thy fault our laws called death, but the kind prince, taking thy part, hath rushed aside the law, and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, thou seest not. 'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing, live here in heaven, and may look on her, but Romeo may not. So here, this is kind of where Romeo's explaining why death is better than banishment for him. He's talking about Juliet, and he's saying heaven is wherever Juliet is. And there's all these other creatures that are allowed to be in heaven except for me. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carry-on flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessings from her lips, who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush, as thinking their own kisses sin. But Romeo may not, he is banished. Here he's saying even carry-on flies, the flies that feed on dead carcasses and animals, even they have more honor and more chance to be with Juliet here, because they can at least, fly under her hand. They can at least look at her. But Romeo cannot. I am banished. Then he's got a pun coming up in the next couple lines. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sentiment of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished. O friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howling attends it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle me with that word banished? Thou fond madman, hear me a little speak. I mean, like, you foolish person, just calm down and let me tell you what's going to happen. Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment. I'll give thee armor to keep off that word, adversity's sweet milk, philosophy, to comfort thee though thou art banished. Yet banished? Hang up philosophy, unless philosophy can make a Juliet, displant a town, reverse a prince's doom. It helps not and prevails not, talk no more. Here, he's kind of throwing a bit of a tantrum, where Friar Lawrence is saying, I've got an idea, like, just listen to me. And Romeo is being very stereotypically a teenager. He said, you don't understand how I feel, like nothing will make this ever better. Oh, then I see that madmen have no ears. How should they when that wise men have no eyes? It's getting a little sassy. Let me dispute thee of thy estate. Thou canst not speak of what thou dost not feel. Essentially, that line translates to, you don't understand me. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me, and like me banished, then mightest thou speak, then mightest thou tear thy hair, and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave. Now, enter the nurse within, and a knock. Arise, one knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself. Because he doesn't know who's coming at that door. It could be someone looking for Romeo for a bad reason. Not I, unless the breath of heart-sick groans, mist-like enfold me from search of eyes. Okay, I kind of hurt myself. Hark, how they knock. Who's there? Romeo, arise, thou wilt be taken. Stay a while. Stand up. Even louder knock. Run to my study. By and by. God's will. What simpleness is this? I come, I come. Who knocks so hard? Whence come you? What's your will? Let me in, and you shall know my errand. I come from Lady Juliet. Welcome, then. And he unlocks the door finally. Enter nurse. Oh, holy friar. Oh, tell me, holy friar, where's my lady's lord? Where's Romeo? There, on the ground, with his own tears made drunk. So you guys can picture this. Romeo is just like a blubbering mess on the ground, throwing his tantrum, so upset about his banishment. Oh, he is even in my mistress's case. Just in her case. So he's acting just like Juliet. Oh, woeful sympathy, piteous predicament. Even so she lies, she blubbering and weeping, weeping and blubbering. Stand up, stand and you be a man. For Juliet's sake, for her sake, rise up and stand. Why should you fall into so deep an oh? Like, why should you be so moaning like that? Nurse! And he rises. Ah, sir, death's the end of all. Spakest thou of Juliet? How is it with her? Doth she not think me an old murderer? So she's concerned if Juliet thinks of him in a poor way, now that he's murdered her cousin. Now I have stained the childhood of our joy with blood removed but little from her own. So I've stained our innocence and our joy for killing her relative. That's what he means when he says the blood removed from her own. Where is she, and how doth she, and what says my concealed lady to our cancelled love? Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps, and now falls on her bed, and then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, and then falls down again. As if that name shot from the deadly level of a gun did murder her, as that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me that I may sack that hateful mansion. So the nurse has told Romeo that she's crying, and that's all she's doing. She's saying, oh, Tybalt's name, because she's crying for her husband's death. Then she's crying Romeo's name out because he's been exiled. But Romeo kind of takes that as she's crying Romeo's name because she's so mad at him. So that's why he says, excuse me, Friar, tell me in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? So saying, in what part of my body is the name Romeo etched in? That way I can sack the hateful mansion, so I can cut that part out of my body. So he makes a move to stab himself. This is a pen. And the nurse snatches the dagger away. Hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman and a seeming man, an ill-beseeming beast and seeming both. Thou hast amazed me. By my holy order, I thought thy disposition better tempered. So he's telling Romeo that you're being so irrational right now. Just relax and calm down. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself and slay thy lady that in thy life lives by doing so damned hate upon thyself? Got a little pun here. It's not really a funny one, but it's with the word slay. So Friar Lawrence is saying, you already killed Tybalt. You slayed him. Will you slay yourself? Will you kill yourself and in doing so slay your lady? Hurt Juliet even more? Why railst thou on thy birth? The heaven and earth, since birth and heaven and earth, all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose. So he's saying, you're alive. Be grateful for that. Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which like a usurer aboundst in all, and usest none in that true use indeed. Which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. So here Friar Lawrence is saying, you're behaving so much like a woman, you're crying. Nothing wrong with crying, guys, but that's what Friar Lawrence is telling Romeo here. You're digressing from being honorable like a gentleman. Next page. Thy dear love sworn but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thine own defense. We have a great simile here. You guys can't use this one for your gem because it pretty much explains it on the left-hand side. But basically he's saying that you're not using your intelligence, you're really smart, but you're setting a fire by your own ignorance. It's kind of like a soldier that accidentally sets his gunpowder and like explodes on himself. You're letting your own ignorance take control. That way you're kind of disrupting your whole life. You need to be rational, think clearly, that way you don't mess things up even more. What, rouse thee, man, thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy. The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy. So he's giving him all of these lists of reasons as to why Romeo should be happy and count his blessings. Okay, the sun's kind of moved a little bit. Time out. All right, there we go. Okay, we're on line 139. 141. A pack of blessings light upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array, but like a mishaved and sullen wench, thou pouts upon thy future and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go get thee to thy love as was decreed. Ascend her chamber hence and comfort her. So he's saying, go to Juliet. Comfort your wife as you had planned to do so already. But look thou not, stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 20,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. So he's saying, wait in her bedroom until like the policemen have gone home. Then you can go to Mantua, which is where he's going to be living in exile, until it's time for them to announce their marriage and everything can be forgiven. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt unto. Romeo is coming. So nurse, go tell everyone to go to bed. That way Romeo can sneak into Juliet's room. Oh Lord, I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is. My lord, I'll tell my lady you will come. Do so, and bid my sweet prepare to chide. The nurse offers to go in, but then she comes back. Here, sir, a ring she bid me give you. Hie you, make haste, for it grows very late. How well my comfort is revived by this. All right, so the nurse exits. Romeo's feeling so much better because he finally gets to go see his wife, Juliet. So a lot happened in those last couple scenes. Essentially, just to recapitulate, vocab word. Juliet found out that Tybalt died and that Romeo's still alive, but he's banished. And that makes her so much more upset than if everyone else were to die. Romeo's kind of on the same page as Juliet, but he's feeling a little better now that he's able to go see his wife. So we'll see what happens. We know this is tragedy, but things are kind of looking up for these guys because now Romeo can at least go see his wife. So I'm posting that question in the comments as to whether or not you guys think Juliet is justified in feeling the way that she does. We have 2 more scenes to read for Act 3, so we'll take care of those next week on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And then your gems will be due Thursday. Okay, but keep working on the reading guide. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I miss you all. Sending you virtual hugs, virtual high fives, and just wishing you all well. So I'll hopefully see you guys soon. Let me know if you have any questions or need anything else, all right? Bye.